be the new boys in town.
What's that sound? Is someone moving around?
Sit down for a spell. You don't look so well.
Wait a minute, I feel great. You just leave yourself a bit. You might as well just hang around.
It's to the head. We got to operate. Just try and relax. It's a house of wax.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Today, I am going to finish this trilogy of Halloween movie reviews by reviewing a German vampire movies simply known as Vampire. Man, is that a generic title. But let's stop wasting time and sink our teeth into this review, shall we? The film is about a guy named Alan who rents a room in Paris where stranger things have been happening. What do I think of this film? Well, I'll tell you. I do not know what to make of this movie. I don't know if it's really good or really great. I just don't know what to make of it. I'm just downright conflicted by it. For one thing, the plot to this movie is very hard to follow. There's so much stuff in this movie that is never explained. Like shadows that move about by themselves. There's another scene in where a woman's body dissolves into a skeleton. With skeletons that has eyes that glow and those that move on its own. And a book that has the entire mythology of vampires. You know, like the Necronomicon has all the mythology of the dead. And a floating freaking head in a window. What, was the great and powerful Oz taking a day off? Do they ever explain any of this? Well, the answer is nope. There are a ton of confusing scenes. Like there's a scene in where Alan is taking a nap and the lights are flickering. And then we get this skeleton hand with a poison bottle, which looks oddly enough like a smaller version of the poison bottle Captain Hook was holding. I mean, this scene just comes from out of nowhere. And just like everything else in this movie, it is never explained. There's another confusing scene in where Alan sits down and his soul just comes out of his body and we find his dead body in a coffin. How did his body get in this coffin? Once again, it is never explained. There's a really creepy as hell scene in where you see his head in a window in the coffin while people are preparing the coffin. And then there's a 3-minute scene in where they take the coffin out, and then then they dissolve, and then Alan's back in his body.
I'm so confused.
Well, if anything I'm telling you about this movie makes no goddamn sense to you, well, welcome to the club. Take it away, heretic.
That doesn't even make sense.
Okay. If it sounds like I'm nitpicking this movie, I'm not. I have nothing against art house horror movies. Some of these art house horror movies have become classics in the genre in their own right for being art house. But you have to give some kind of an explanation of why all this stuff is happening. For example, why is all this stuff happening in Suspiria? It's because all the women who work at the ballet house are witches. Why is all this stuff happening in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? It's because the house that the kids are trespassing on is inhabited by cannibalistic psychos. And I forgot to mention, there's also this doctor who I think the film is pointing at him to be the vampire. Though if he is, it's never fully addressed if he is or isn't. And is it just me, or does this doctor look like Dr. Forrester? You know, if Dr. Forrester was a 1932 French man. And he has what has got to be, without a doubt, one of the scariest deaths in horror movie history. I am not joking, and I am not exaggerating. There's this scene in where the doctor gets locked up in a cage, and then these gears start turning, and he gets buried alive in sawdust or something, and before we find out what even happens to this character, the gears just stop. That's it. Sweet honey nut Cheerios. We know nothing about this character. We don't know if he's evil or not, and we don't even know if he even deserves this death. So, what was the point of this scene? This movie was a co-production between France and Germany. This film was directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer, who at the time was best known for his epic Passion of Joan of Arc. Well, that's pretty much all I can say about, Vampyr. I can only recommend this movie to film historians or horror fans. But if you are neither of those things, I have a feeling you're probably going to find this film downright confusing. Well, until next Halloween, and until the next review, this is Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, signing off. I give this movie 3 stars.
This is weird.
It's much worse than I feared. I'll close my eyes and make it disappear.
This is strange. It ain't home of the range.
You just tells me that you got no feet. There goes the sun, here comes the night. Somebody
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ring bell for new content. If you like to request a movie, please do so by requesting it in the comments.